Thank you for making it out on this rather miserable grey evening in the middle of June. This is from the prequel to Dying and Other Superpowers, and it's called The Beginner's Guide to Saving the World. Prologue. Anna. My mother always used to say that life has a design, that the universe is always working silently in the background, pushing the right people to the right place for the precise time they're needed. Like a swan on a lake, elegant, silent, but under the surface, working furiously to get where it needs to go. She never knew what I can do. She never saw the things I've seen. She never knew that there are people among us with the power to bend the universe's will to their own, to heal, to see the future, to travel to it, to control minds. I've seen a man fall from a building and walk away from it. I've seen humans who could disappear and then reappear miles away. I've seen a woman walk through a solid wall as if it were water. I've seen people move objects with their thoughts. Yet we walk among you every day. We share your world, but we cannot let you know. But just like the swan on my mother's lake, the ripple effect of our actions spread out in infinite circles. I look at the man sitting in his wheelchair by the window. His name is Peter. He's old, very old. He's lived many lives. He's seen the future. I wonder if he's seen mine. He doesn't speak much. When he moves, it's slow and laboured. His shoulders are sloped, like he's spent too long with the world's weight on them, and they're collapsing in on him. Ironically, it's not far from the truth. He wasn't always like this. He once had a family, a life, a job, people who respected him. He is unique. Now his body is failing him, but his mind stays sharp. He and I, our kind, we can do amazing things, but my mother was right about one thing. You can't change your own destiny. The man in the chair knows it all too well. He's seen 1,000 futures, and they all play out to the same conclusion. Nothing can stop what's coming. Lord knows he's tried. All he can do now is let it unfold. Every action has an effect, and sometimes the ripples on the lake aren't small. Humans should never have the power of gods. I know that now. The old man notices me watching and nods his head slowly in acknowledgement. It's time, Anna, he says. I nod back, tears pricking already. I look back at his face. His wrinkled skin is becoming translucent, shimmering, as though the glaring light from the window is shining through him. He's fading away. He smiles at me, and the light cracks through his teeth. It grows brighter, surrounding him like a halo. I shield my eyes from the light, but I can't wrench my eyes as I watch him disappear, recede. His features have become hazy in the radiance, the deep lines blurred by my shrunken pupils and stinging tears, and for a moment, he's young again. I hear his voice, faint, as if I'm hearing him across miles and years, not meters. Remember what you must do, Anna. And then, in one final burst of brilliance, he disappears. No goodbyes. In my life, in my time, he is gone. Blinking back tears, I turn away from the empty space by the window and close the door. Chapter 1. Josh. Ordinarily, I'm quite up for spending a Friday night with something hard prodding into my back, but enough about my teenage hormones. The fact is that 11:47 p.m. at a Polari cash machine in the drizzling rain wasn't one of those times. I didn't even hear him approach. I knew it was when the gun, I think it was a gun, pressed against my lower spine and his hot breath hissed in my ear. Don't turn around, blood, yeah? Take the fucking cash and give it to me. I'm not fucking around, you get me? My stomach lurched at the unexpected intrusion, but that was it. I rarely get scared these days. Used to, not anymore. Anyway, I'd had a beer or two and I was feeling mischievous. Still with my back to him, I replied, okay, so I think we've established that you like to say fuck rather a lot. How else can I help you? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have needled him like that, but he had no clue what I am. No idea that he may as well have been holding a banana. On reflection, it could very well have been a banana. Shut up, man, and listen to me, yeah? Take the cash out of the wall, give me a card and your pin and your phone. I'm not fucking around, yeah? He jabbed the banana gun further into my back. You feel that? I gasped comically. Oh, my phone? But I just got an upgrade, you see. I was going to go for the new iPhone, but I went for the Android one instead. It's bigger, you see. Shut the fuck up, man. And it's got like this quad-core processor. I don't quite know what a quad-core processor is, but I like the sound of it. It sounded techie, don't you think? Shut up, man. Just shut up. I know what you're going to say. I was just sold on the clever marketing, and you're probably right. Anyway, I shouldn't be going on about how great my phone is, because I'm just making you want it more. I will shoot you, you cunt! So I guess I should just cut to the chase and say, why don't you fucking try? I turned around and glared at him. He was wearing a black hoodie, but the light from the street lamp was enough for me to see his face. He wasn't much younger than I am, 3 years maybe, certainly no older than 16. But he looked down at my hand, which was now vice-like around the base of his, which in turn was holding whatever was pressed into my back a second earlier. It wasn't a gun. It wasn't a banana either, but a short metal bar, still enough to do some damage. But I'm strong, you see. Not muscular strong, but a different kind of strong. That arm was going nowhere. Nice gun, I said. He suddenly looked a lot younger under that hood. My heart was beating fast and my hand was growing hot and vibrating. A tinge of fear crept across his shadowed face as he noticed the vibrations. I smirked. Go home to mummy, kiddo. Bad things happen to little boys who wander around at night. We stood like rocks, faces inches from each other. My hand gripped his wrist, holding it in between us like an unspoken challenge. The air around my hand rippled a little, like it was being disturbed by heat. A siren wailed quietly in the distance, and I could hear something like music, a dull, rhythmic thud coming from me. A car or a block of flats. His eyes stayed wide as he assessed his options. I felt him give a little. The moment was over. He'd given up the game. I pushed him roughly away from me. The swagger returned instantly. I turned away from him. "The fuck are you, freak?" he demanded, posturing to my back like nothing had happened. Don't react. "I'm fucking talking to you, blood!" His voice was closer now. Don't react. A whooshing sound by my ear, but I was ready. I heard the impact of the metal rod on something hard behind me. The sound reverberated like this giant tuning fork, except there was nothing behind me, only air. I smirked again and turned round slowly to see the panic-stricken kid. He'd expected the bar to crash into my skull and my collarbone. If it had, there would have still been some give. The arc of his swing wouldn't have been cut short. Instead, he'd hit something solid, very solid. So solid, in fact, that he'd been thrown back by the recoil. The bar was lodged impossibly in mid-air, a rippling, silvery blue lake shimmering outwards from its impact point. The atmosphere was heavy and humid, thrumming and vibrating like a giant speaker. I'm getting good. I felt the warmth of blood at the edge of my nostril. It tickled. I ignored it. My head was hurting. A bit harder to ignore, but I still tried. Scratch that. I'm getting good, but it's still hurting me. "What the fuck are you?" whispered the kid. His voice cracked and drained of bravado. I smiled at him and lifted my arms. The shimmering ripples around the air sucked towards me, churning and wrapping itself around my forearms. The impossible bar clattered to the floor in front of us. I don't always do it like that. I just like a bit of theatre occasionally. I squeezed my eyes shut and I pushed outwards. The light flew from my hands and hit him dead centre in the chest, sending him skidding into a pile of rubbish bags against the nearby brick wall. Tin cans and mouldy food exploded outwards as he disappeared into the heap. I heard a satisfying thud as he hit the wall behind it. I walked over to where he'd fallen. My vision wavered. I was becoming unsteady, like my blood sugar was crashing. He was alive, not necessarily kicking, a little stunned perhaps. Okay, he was bleeding a little, but he was alive. I doubted he'd be trying any banana-based stick-ups in the near future. "I told you to go home," he said. He did, quickly. I slunk into a nearby alleyway and touched my sleeve to my nose. It came away soaked in blood. My head pounded so hard I could see the veins of my eyeballs in my own vision. "Fight it, don't go under, fight." I slumped to the ground. I barely registered the brown-haired woman who was suddenly standing over me. She knelt down and touched my temples. She had warm, gentle hands and a kind face. Like a bubble bursting, fresh air filled my head. My vision defogged. My mind was all of a sudden sharp and my skull pain-free. I sat bolt upright. "What did you just do?" I demanded. "Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you." "Did you see?" "Yes," she smiled. "I've met people like you before." She lifted her hands from my temples. What's your name?" she asked. "Josh," I replied. "My name is Anna," said the woman, "and I can help you." Chapter 2, Christopher. Blink. Lights. Blink again. Harsh light boring into his retinas like a needle. Squint. No good. Eyes wet with tears now, slithering down his cheek and pooling in his ear. Blink again. He's on a thin, pathetic plastic mattress in a bright, bare cell. Room with lots of lights. Square ones set into the ceilings like tiles. He goes to wipe off the tears from his leaking eyes. But his hand, he can move his hand, but it doesn't feel connected to his brain. Brain is foggy, he feels drugged. Tired, so tired. Door opens. A man and a woman walk into the room. The woman is dressed in black jeans and a leather jacket. She has high, harsh cheekbones and her blonde hair is straight back into a ponytail. Her name is Eve. He doesn't remember how he knows, but he's met her before. His memory is cloudy, like he's trying to look through a window fogged with condensation. The woman smiles. It's not kind. "Hello, Christopher," she drawls. The man on the bed is growing scared now, adrenaline eating up the drug in his system. He tries to disappear, think about somewhere else and just be there like you've always done. Get up. But his body is lead. Eve sweeps to the edge of the bed, the sound of her heels clattering off the bare walls. She strokes the man's face. Her nails are red. Her lips are red too, and when she opens her mouth to speak, it's like a wicked slash across her stonily beautiful face. I wouldn't try your little party trick, she says. We've given you enough morphine to floor an elephant. She motions to the man in the doorway. He's thick-set and tall with oriental features. She leans in close to the scared man. This is my friend Victor, she says, and you're going to do exactly what he says. Victor sits down beside the man on the bed and begins murmuring in his ear. The man has recovered partly from his grogginess. His eyes had been growing sharper, but he can't move his head. He can only listen to the thick-set oriental man. Eve watches the man as his eyes begin to glaze back over, consciousness draining from him, his mind melting into nothingness. Then, as swift and clean as a scalpel cut, he's gone. Thank you.
Kristian Johns, everyone.